Welcome back to the ReEducation Camp podcast. Karen O'Toole joined by Colin Miller today. And I apologize if there's any delays, breakups, anything on this recording today, on this broadcast today, because we are currently getting I don't know if it's a nor'easter, is what they're calling it. But Colin, it is dreadful here in Pennsylvania. We are just getting buckets of snow dumped on us. It seemed as if the snow was falling as fast as I could shovel earlier. And I just thought like maybe Colin could take us in for like just a couple months. Like my husband and I could just like live with you and we'll give you some money just to not have to endure this anymore.
I wouldn't be opposed to like a tiny house situation. Like, I feel like my backyard is big enough if you guys want to construct like a tiny house in the back, but
Okay.
also
Okay.
you would have to pay me some sort of rent for being on the property.
Some
So
lot
there's
fees.
that. But
Okay.
they're expecting snow up in northern Florida, actually, like more towards, I think in Pensacola, they've got they're getting the roads ready. They're going to be de-icing the roads because I saw a snow alert pop up on my weather app
Oh,
the
geez.
other day when I was working. I saw that it said 1 inch of snow for Wednesday. I think that I'm southwest enough where I'm not going to really see much of anything. It's going to be cold. And by cold, I mean like probably in the 50s, I guess,
Oh, so poor you.
which is about as low as I can handle now with this thin Floridian blood. But we didn't come here to talk about the weather, right? We came here
No,
to
we did
bitch
not. I
about about life
everything.
and work and
Well,
just
I really just wanted to mention the weather because I consumed, we were kind of both lamenting about just life in general. And I think I just felt like calories don't count when it snows. It's kind of like a snow day. Even though I work from home, I'm not going to be getting off work. And I just decided like, yeah, of course I'm going to have donuts and french fries and chicken fingers and just Girl Scout cookies. Like I just decided like just keep eating. Who cares? It's a snow day and it kind of just feels I guess that's the adult version of snow day. Like you're not going to get off work, but you might as well just give up on all your resolutions. So that's the only reason I even really and because of course it's taking on my internet currently. But so yes, Colin and I are both well, you're doing pretty good with your resolutions, I think, as far
I
as
was just gonna
exercise,
say I
right?
am
Is
not
that
consuming any of that garbage like you know all of the stuff that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would frown upon. I've really cleaned up my diet and I've been in the garage with the
oh
cat
no.
lifting weights.
Yes.
She's lifting weights too. She's doing cat curls and we're out there. We're getting in shape. So I'm feeling pretty good about my fitness resolutions for the new year. I've been quite consistent, and I plan to be consistent because Andrew Tate will be very upset with me if I don't. He will chastise me and belittle me on X. So that's really the main reason why I've been keeping up so diligently with my workout regimen and in my eating. So we'll see where it takes me, you know? Like I'm hoping like I feel like, after one set of planks, you should have a rock hard six pack. Like it's nonsense that like
Yeah.
you have to burn off this giant layer of fat in your stomach before you can see. It's just all these fitness rules are just nonsense. They drive me up a wall. But what am I gonna do? It's like I'm almost reaching a point here in life where it's just like, you just have to throw your hands up in the air. It's like, what am I gonna do about anything, really?
Well, that's even too. It's funny that you're saying like you're getting to a point, and I felt that way like watching everybody respond to the TikTok, the glitch. I suppose I don't know if it wasn't necessarily a glitch, but it was taken down for a little bit, and I was surprised by not just the level of response I saw on social media, but I was kind of taken aback by some of the ages of the people I saw. I expected like my little sister was like in tears about it, but she's 14, so that kind of checks out. But I was so surprised to see like people in their 50s and maybe even older, and they were responding. They're like, okay, TikTok's down, TikTok's back up. Like they were like really invested in what was going on with TikTok. And I was kind of surprised. I don't know. Are you seeing any of that too? Like
Well,
older
yeah,
people?
apparently, yeah. I guess there's a lot of content creators who are older, but like, I wanted it to stay shut down because it's like, get a job. It's like this whole concept of, oh, I get to just earn 100 grand with my iPhone making stupid little tutorial videos on an app. That needs to be banned. Not the app, just the concept of that needs to be shut down. OnlyFans needs to be shut down. It's like, no, it's either you're working or you're not. Okay, this whole influencers need to be banned. So I was sad that it was back up and running because all these people, I mean, what could they really do? Like probably service jobs, waiters, maybe fast food, and that's what they should be doing. I think that that's what they should be doing. They shouldn't be allowed to make 100 grand in their home with an iPhone. So I was kind of pissed off that it was back up and running. But yeah, there are a lot of influencers, I guess, in their 30s, 40s, 50s. It's not just
Well, yeah,
the
this was
limited to the Zoomers.
yeah, I can understand the content creators. It was the content consumers. Like it wasn't just like people
Ah,
that are like on X or like actual content creators.
okay.
I mean like people I know, like my dad's cousin who's in her 50s, upset that she can't go on TikTok. And I was just like
No,
kind of surprised by that.
I
Like I
haven't
said, I
seen
was
that.
yeah, I did see I can understand like if you put a lot of content on there, even just personally like documenting your life and then you were upset, you're like, oh, I can't see the video of me singing Shania Twain. Like I need to, I need to take that video. I need that preserved for my grandchildren to see one day, my lip syncing videos. But I mean, if you're 16 years old or something, or maybe like you said, you're a content creator, I can understand like wanting, or even it's just something you documenting your life. It's like a time capsule. So I can
Hmm.
understand like wanting to see it, but it was more so people just like that are consuming the content and they were like having meltdowns and they were just like updating and like telling people as if the news isn't going to tell us what was going on. It was like they were giving us the reports. They're like, TikTok is officially down. TikTok is officially right. And I'm like, you do realize that there's like a news, there's Google, like there's all these different ways that we can find out about this. We don't need just your personal Facebook account. But I was meditating on, not that I was meditating, but I was considering about this whole social media thing. Like, you're just a little bit older than me. We're about the same age. I'm going to be 35 years old this year. 35. Pretty crazy. But I had been thinking about recently, and TikTok kind of comes into this conversation because I have younger siblings. They'll send me TikTok links, and I made a TikTok like once. I took it off my phone. I just didn't have any interest in it. And I kind of I drew a line in the sand where I decided, like, no, I'm a millennial. Like, I always tell them they'll send me links to TikTok and I can't open them. And I'm like, please send them to me through Snapchat because I'm a boomer. I cannot view this video. Whatever you're trying to share with me, I cannot view because I'm a boomer. But like I said, I think for me, I had this intentional approach to TikTok where I just thought, you know what? This is I am at a point where I just don't have any interest in this. Not that I think what I'm trying to say is not that you are too old to use TikTok or create content on TikTok. I think everybody should make those decisions for themselves. Like I don't think that I'm not going to gatekeep, I guess, a social media site. But do you kind of feel like you're getting to a point where using and posting on social media just feels, I don't know, trite? Like it just feels like maybe you're getting a little bit too old for it. I don't know. Do you feel that way at all? Like I don't know.
I feel like the only reason to post on social media is if you're one of these influencers who is benefiting
Yeah.
monetarily from it, because otherwise, what are you getting out of it, really? It's the
Yeah.
most pointless, stupid thing. It's a waste of time. You know what really got me? There's a particular reason why I'm riled up, and this is the boomer in me coming out. I had to stop at Walgreens for these special eye drops I get because I have very dry eyes. So I get these eye drops. They're called Blink. They're pretty expensive. They're great eye drops though, great for
Okay.
long-lasting dryness relief. If Blink wants to sponsor us and give us money to get
Please.
us out of this hell.
Please.
And there there was a sale, okay? So the eye drops, the regular price, 14.99. But there's a sale, $3 off. But you gotta clip the coupon in the app. Okay, my phone's in my fucking car. Can't I just remember the old days when you would enter your number. You would enter your number, or you'd have like a card, you'd have your CVS card or your
Yes.
Redner's card or whatever, and that's how you would get the deals. Oh no, no, you have to have an app. You gotta clip the coupon in the app. And it's like, you know what? What's the point of having a country anymore if I have to clip a coupon in an app? Like, can't like some, we should be taken over, like a communist regime should just come and take us over or something, or just the meteor is never going to happen. I don't believe there ever was a meteor, by the way. I'm starting to think that dinosaurs, like somebody planted those bones. I'm almost in like Candace Owens territory with the
Yeah, I'm
dinosaurs
starting to
now.
think there's no nuclear bombs either. There's no
Yeah, I
nuclear
think that that's
codes. There's
bullshit
no
too.
nuclear bombs.
Surely
Those are all.
someone, if all these nukes existed, surely by now somebody would have done something in the modern age. I know people are thinking, oh well, World War II, blah blah blah. Okay, but surely after that, once everybody got them, something would have happened, right?
Yeah, you
Watch
would think.
tomorrow, like a nuke goes off somewhere, God forbid. But actually, would it cancel work? Would it cancel work? If
I
that
don't think it would. I don't think it would.
serious
I think we
question,
would
like,
all.
especially if you're a remote worker, let's say, I'm a remote worker here in Florida. If a nuclear bomb went off in Los Angeles with it, which I hope it doesn't, by the way, would that, would that
You're like,
affect
wish I wish I would. Wish
would that
I don't.
would that affect work in other, it's like, surely there would have to be at least like a day of remembrance or something.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Like, I don't remember schools being closed for 9/11 or work
No,
stopping for 9/11, right? I
no,
was
yeah,
I
you're
was
right.
homeschooled that year, so I have a very different like memory of 9/11. But I'm pretty sure everybody went back to school on Wednesday, right? Like,
Oh yeah, we got sent home. I remember. I think that we were sent. We were brought back in from recess inside because I guess somehow like the cafeteria was gonna shield us from like Al Qaeda. If like Al Qaeda drove like a Boeing 757 into the school, the cafeteria was gonna keep us safe. I think they sent us home, but then obviously everything was like back. All it did was inconvenience us at the airport. That's all 9/11 did. It's like, well, this happened, so now you have to have somebody, grope your genitals at the airport, and you have to take off your shoes because, oh, allegedly, but there's Al Qaeda terrorists have found a way to plant bombs in their shoe. All it did, everything just inconveniences us. It's like after 9/11, it was just just a mountain of inconveniences that made life like, okay, can this be over now? Like, I just
yeah.
want to be like
Can we
the
be done with
infinite
this
soul
country? Can it
that
all
I
be
am,
over?
floating somewhere, because this sucks now. And I'm
Well,
sorry, I'm ranting. Go ahead.
well, no, what you were saying about like the country being over. I was thinking that yesterday. So I went to a local show and one of the bands was from the DC area. And I was
Hmm.
talking to one of the spouses from one of the band members, and they live in DC and they work, it's a, kind of like a young urban professional couple. And I was talking to her and she was from Kentucky, and I was just asking her like, "Oh, do you miss Kentucky at all?" And she goes, "Oh no, I can't imagine living there." Like, and I was kind of just thinking about how like all of the cities have just become like, by and large, it's just like a bunch of young urban professionals that all think exactly the same. There's no diversity of thought. And it's all just like Patagonia wearing corporate people. And that's like our culture at this point in time. You know what I mean? And then the only other culture we have outside of that is like Hispanic culture and like Indian culture and like, but like like, you know what I mean? There's no more halupkis. There's no more people, babushkas making pierogies. There's no more, you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so much of like people like pride themselves on being like, I live in this city where there's so much culture. And it's like, what, Panera bread? Like that's culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I was kind of just thinking about how, like, yeah, I guess like our country just serves, like everybody's just chasing after money, and that's become like our idol. And we've abandoned family, and we've abandoned tradition, and it's kind of just in pursuit of pleasure and financial slavery, really, because it's not even financial freedom, it's financial slavery, this endless debt cycle, and just like trying to appear like your life is great on, like peacocking on social media. And like that's pretty much America at this point. It's kind of sad in a lot of ways. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that that really is America. I'm a lot more optimistic than that. But
Really? Are you really?
well, I think that there's a lot of great people out there, but I do think I do think, like I said, it's kind of just, you see that where these people have kind of hoodwinked themselves to be like, we live in cultural hubs, and it's like, what is the actual culture? Like, just like
Tacos
your
and
yuppie
margs. That's your
white,
culture.
tacos and
It's
margs. Yeah,
tacos and margs.
exactly.
What you're trying to say is there's no more white European culture. Can we
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that? There's no more white European culture.
But I don't even think, like I said, like, and I think that like even actual culture, like even when you're talking about like tacos and margs, or you're talking about like, Indian food, or you're talking about like kebabs and like Moroccan food or something.
And
Like
I
it's
love all that, by
only,
the way.
yeah, I love all that too, but I'm saying like it's only perceived as relevant or good or popular or hip when like the young white yuppies condone it. Do
Sure.
you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like everything's gentrified. Everything is like those stupid everybody's seen, like, and there's actually, like, if you're into this like urban planning, you can watch videos about this, but there's like, that, like, that building, there's like an apartment complex that like is very like soulless, that you see that like goes up everywhere. It's like a square, well, obviously it's a square building, but it's like, I don't know, there's this like soulless apartment complex that you see all over the country. They're building them everywhere. And like I said, like, I went to a Starbucks, not and hey, I love Starbucks, I'm just going to put it out there on the record, I don't care, give me my pistachio cappuccino any day of the week, I'm not hating on Starbucks. But I accidentally ordered to the wrong Starbucks not that long ago. And I went in there and I was like, "Hey, I ordered." And I was like, "Oh," she's like, "Oh, you ordered to the wrong one." And I'm like, "How the hell am I supposed to even like, I mean, it wasn't their fault. I get it." But I'm like, when I go on the map, it's like it's a Starbucks, a Mod Pizza, a TJ Maxx. It's like the whole effing country is just like, I would say Bed Bath and Beyond, but they're gone. So it's like the whole country is like a Target, a Starbucks, a Mod Pizza, and like a stupid apartment complex for white young professionals. You know what I'm saying? Like that's our country at this point. Like it's just like it's so superficial, it's so like soulless and vapid, and I'm rejecting that. I want to live in a gritty, patriotic, nationalistic. But you know what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying with it. It's just like
There's also way too many
it's
people here,
soulless. It
legal
is.
and illegal. And I'm going to preface this by saying this is a comedy podcast. I'm joking. I don't really mean this, but we need a real pandemic this time. Something, if we can get the population of this country down to about 150 million, because what is it now? Something absurd like 350 million. Is that what it is
Yeah,
now?
I feel like in a blink of an eye, it went from like 300 million to like 50 million. I was like, where did all
Yeah.
these people come from? What's going on? I thought we had like no children or something. Yeah.
Half
So
of everybody here needs to go. Okay, half of everybody here needs to go. I'm joking, by the way.
how do we decide who has to go? How do you
I
like,
I'm wor-
you get to decide?
I have some ideas. I don't know if I can share them here actually. But just like the surge of anger that I felt, I was gonna run into Publix on the way home, and I'm driving at the parking lot. At 6 o'clock at night on a Sunday. How could it be packed? How could the parking lot at Publix at 6 p.m. on a Sunday
Snowstorm's coming.
be
The
that?
snowstorm.
No, there's not though. No, there's not. We live in perpetual paradise. There's no snow coming here. It's a little brisk. That's it. you know. To the part basically, I want half the people gone so that I.
Don't worry, the boomers are about to die in large swaths,
Oh
so
my
you'll be
god, can we get things going here? It's
I'm kidding.
enough now.
I would like to say I'm joking as a comedy, but like it actually statistically is like kind of true. But
It is true.
I don't mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying the white hairs have seen their day. Actually, speaking of white hairs, I just watched the other day. I was starting work and I watched what the heck is her name from CBS Sunday Mornings? Leslie Leslie Stahl, okay?
I'm familiar with her name.
She was interviewing Jamie Dimon, who is famously the head of JP Morgan Chase Bank, like the largest bank probably in the world, but definitely in America. And he was talking about like just everything that's going on in the economy. And he is very intelligent and he knows that he wants to be on Trump's good side. He wants to be on the American people's good side. So he's like talking about how the economy is not working for people. Like he was definitely like talking about how we need to protect our borders. Like he is like he's like a Manhattan guy, but you could tell he gets it. He gets where the momentum is and he doesn't want to be on the guillotine block. So he's like, I get it. We need closed borders. I want to meet with Trump. I congratulated him. Like, you know what I mean? But Leslie Stahl is sitting there, typical white hair, and she is so this interview was stunning. How out of touch with reality this woman is. And I had to look up when she was born and as just tracks with everything I say. I think she was born in 1941, which is like peak white hair, not boomers. You keep attacking the boomers. You are leaving out the silent generation. The silent generation is really where the level of delusion is like on at a fever
Yeah, they're
pitch.
worse.
And you gotta, I mean, obviously most people don't have time to like sit there and listen to this interview. Like I said, I was working and just like listening, wanted to hear what they had, Jamie Dimon had to say. And, she was just like, I don't understand because it says that the economic numbers are great. I don't get this. And she was like just asking the most dumb, just shockingly stupid questions. And she was just completely out of touch with reality. And I got to say, the comment section did check out. These people were like, this woman needs to go. This is an embarrassment. She's so out of touch with reality. But I actually had something. I had an epiphany this week about the white hairs. Like I said, they are the affluent boomers and silent generation. In case you've never heard that term before, it's something that we coined here on the podcast. So we do understand that there are some boomers who did not get a good stake at life. Like we can't just like throw them all together. There are some boomers that fought in Vietnam that came back, got spit on by their country, spit on by their countrymen, had a really rough time, maybe didn't have a pension. Like we can't just throw them all
Maybe you
together.
got a little
So
Agent Orange, no big
yeah,
deal.
yeah. There's definitely some boomers that didn't have it good, but the ones that did and the silent generation by and large are the white hairs. And I realized the other day, how like there's that trope of like old people showing you photos of their grandchildren. Like everybody knows that. Like, oh, they're going to pull out the wallet and show you pictures of their grandchildren. I realized that the white hairs do not show you pictures of their grandchildren. They actually show you pictures of themselves. That's how self involved these people are. And I have to tell you, I'm not just saying this out of like my imagination. I've actually witnessed this. Like, I've been a victim of the white hairs. Okay. I ran into a gentleman. I think I might have told you this story about how ran into this guy who I was at a parade, I was working, and he started telling me all about himself, like all about how he lived part-time in Florida. He was like a snowbird, how
I
he
hate the snowbirds,
retired
by
at
the
like,
way.
yeah, he
That should
literally
end. You
that
got to
is
pick one. I'm sorry, you got to pick one in the new regime.
so he told me about how like he retired at like 52. He bought a house in Florida, like just living the good life, got to work for fun at Knoebels for like 30 years, just like doing nothing. And he pulls out of his wallet a picture of himself from when he was in the Navy. Okay. And he tells me about how I'm like, oh, I was asking about the Navy and like, I was like, well, why did you leave? And he was like, well, they were starting Vietnam and I was afraid, that I might have to get sent over there. I'm like, oh, so essentially you were a coward is what I wanted to say. Like I was like,
He
what I
didn't
mean?
sign up for that.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
didn't sign up to go to
Yeah,
war.
yeah. Not like I'm like, excuse me. My grandfather enlisted at 17 and was dropped off at
Ah,
Normandy. So it's like, guy had to go live in a foxhole in Bastogne. So it's like, I don't want to hear your nonsense. And this guy lived for other people. He didn't live for himself, but he was part of my grandfather and your grandparents were part of the greatest generation. I'm not saying that everybody in the greatest generation was great, but I do have to say that there is a distinct difference. And I think exactly that. The greatest generation showed you pictures of their grandchildren because they were invested in the next generation. They were invested in other people. But the white hairs literally will pull out of their wallets and show you pictures of themselves because all that matters to them is their own flesh. They do not care about the next generation. They don't. They literally do not. And I don't know, it's so stunning. But I mean, we as millennials, like as I was talking about, like, are we getting to a point where like social media, like we're a little bit too old for it? Like
it's stupid.
but what
What are
I'm
you getting
saying is
out of
like
it?
we are going to be shaping we are going to be shaping the future now. Like the boomers and the silent generation, unless like, Jared Kushner comes through some breakthrough to keep them living forever, like it's just a
He
matter of
probably
time
will.
before but I'm saying it's just a matter of time before the millennials are the biggest swath of the population. So it's like that something to start thinking about that, like we are going to be the creators of the future. We are going to be shaping the future. So it's like we need to start realizing like if we want the future to be good for those that come after us, like we need to start making and creating a world that's better for the people after us and not so focused on ourselves. And I don't know if we're capable of it. I don't
Well,
know.
don't you feel also like forget just social media? I feel like there is a growing sentiment. People are tired of the internet at this point.
Yes. Yeah.
Aren't you tired
Yeah.
of the internet? I'm so sick. Why did we have to make everything like, oh, this is everything now. This is your life now. Just screens. Who the fuck? Who did you? Who voted on this? Like some. I'm sorry, but it like goes back to Jurassic Park. Remember what Ian Malcolm said to Dr. Hammond in Jurassic Park? He's like, your scientists spend so much time wondering if they could. They didn't stop to think if they
Oh,
should.
they
They
should.
didn't stop to
Yeah.
think if it was a natural thing for you to know about every single development in the world on a little baby television that fits in your pocket. Was that a good thing? I think that the internet has been the worst. I know it's ironic. We're recording this through the internet right now. We're talking about this through the internet. I think it's been the most disastrous experiment in the history of mankind. For every positive thing that it has brought, I feel like there is 10 more negative things that can cancel that right out. I mean, look what it got everybody, it got like a whole generation. It pumped hardcore pornography into your bedroom and completely like warped your mind and screwed up an entire generation. We have a whole generation of like porn addicted males. Their lives have been completely shattered because of the internet. I'm sorry. It's because and
And
some people
even
can
and
say,
even
"Oh,
young
well,
women, like even Billie Eilish, like the singer, has gone on
oh,
record saying like she was exposed to pornography at a really young age and was talking about how damaging it was, even as a
yes."
female. So it's I mean, obviously men are young boys are so much more impacted by this. But you are absolutely right that there is a war, like as InfoWars says, like there's a war for our mind going on. And that's like completely true. And like me personally as a Christian, like I just see it as a spiritual warfare. Like I do see it. I don't, sorry to get a little out there on you people, but like I do see it as that. I do see it as like a war on our mind. It's such a distraction. I mean, and even like you said about like just the internet in general, like I spent some time. I did go to church this morning. I came home, I did a little bit of work, which I wouldn't have had to work on the weekend if there was no internet. But I also wouldn't get to work from home. So there's, like you said, there's those pros and cons. But after that, I spent some time not even on social media, not even on like a Reddit rabbit hole. Like I was just spending time on Zillow. And then like after a little while, like I was like, what am I doing? Like I wasted so much time today that I could have been like getting stuff done and like not that it was like completely unproductive, but in a lot of ways it was unproductive. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you just
Oh,
realize that it really just sucks you in.
and it devalued art to such a high degree. I mean, think about it. Music, back in the day, you used to there used to be a joy. There used to be such a joy, and I got to experience this a little bit of going to the record store or even just Walmart to buy a CD, an album. You're so excited to get the latest album from
Yeah.
whoever. You had to go out and you had to buy it. You popped it into your CD player. It completely devalued that because it's all free now. It's like, oh, wait, why would you go to a record store? You have access to every single song ever produced right in the palm of your hand. And all you have to do is just pay this big evil company a monthly subscription fee, and you get every song ever. It completely devalued music, it devalued movies. Think
It
about
devalues relationships. It
it
devalues
devalues,
friendships. It devalues
yeah,
yeah, it devalues beauty. It devalues security within yourself. It devalues your confidence. It devalues, like you said, there you can the list is endless. Yeah.
yeah. And the positives is like, oh, I can pay a bill online. All right, that's wonderful. Yes, it's very convenient that I don't, I can just pay bills. I can send my money to companies, online, and it's like, oh yeah, my check is automatically deposited. Even that it devalued work because people used to like actually going to the bank to cash their check. My father was always big on that. He loved like getting that paycheck and like going to the bank and
Mm.
cashing the check because like it's like you had something in your hand. It's like, yeah, I worked for this, I earned this with my time, my energy, my blood, my sweat. Now it's just like, oh yeah, the digits got transferred into the bank account. Like, laddie, they even, as stupid as that sounds, they took away like your feeling of satisfaction from like a full week's work. So it devalued jobs. It's like the list
Devalued
is
currency. It
it
doesn't
de-
even feel real.
yeah, it devalued the currency. And by the way, speaking of currency, I gotta know, I'm totally out of the loop. Apparently, everybody and their mother and their brother is just you can just get rich overnight with these meme coins, apparently. Like there was this Trump meme coin that got pushed to the moon, as they say. Now I'm on X. I see Melania Trump is tweeting from her
Wait,
account. There's a
hon,
Melania.
I'm looking my Robinhood right now. I had the Donald Trump stock just to make sure that didn't.
I
I
mean,
bought the Donald Trump stock and I'm like, wait a minute, we need to check that. But yeah, no, you're right. There are a lot of
these
meme
coins.
coins.
How do you get rich overnight on these coins? I don't even know the first thing about how to obtain these coins.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I know. And that's I think like you're saying, like when you talk about like the OnlyFans and the influencers and all that, it makes you feel as if like, what am I doing? Like, why am I showing up and working at
right.
McDonald's and killing myself when like these people are just like going online and posting pictures of their feet, or these kids are just going on Robinhood and they're it's changing some stocks around and they're now they don't have to work anymore. Like it's completely
Yeah.
ridiculous. I am looking at I did just have to look at the Donald. Okay, it's down. I'm still completely down on that stock. So there you go.
and
Thanks, Trump. I
and
mean, it's
also,
inaugurations tomorrow. The stock's got to go to the moon, right?
yeah, I'm completely out of the loop with how to get rich overnight on these meme coins, and it just blows my mind that it seems like everybody else has this figured out. Another thing I
Tua
was
has it figured out.
yeah, Hawk too. I don't know what the hell happened with her with
Well,
that.
like you said, like with her, like it's like, okay, you're just completely vulgar, and then you get like one of the top podcasts in the world. It's like it's so much the elevation of the base that it really demoralizes people. I think that that's like the term you're looking for. Like it's just
Yes,
demoralizing. And
the
like
whole
how are
country's
we
demoralized.
like how are yes, like how are I mean, even like Trump being the president is kind of demoralizing. Like we're told like you need to have some decorum, that you need to I mean we were talking about that last week about how like it just feels like after Trump became president, like our brains just exploded and all of the rules were not even rewritten, they were just thrown away. It feels like there's no we're not playing with the same rules anymore. Like the 21st century is completely new rules. And there's nothing, and I always listen into this one YouTube channel that was talking about like one of the biggest issues we have is that we are always raised by a generation that's behind. Our parents are preparing us for a world that no longer exists. We are going to prepare our children, God willing, or whatever. This maybe just this generation is going to be preparing their children for a world that doesn't exist. And like we see that with our generation. So a lot of us kids that grew up in the 80s and 90s, we were just told get a college degree, pursue your passions. You just get a degree and you just, you work really hard and you'll just, the whole world will be laid out for you on a silver
Mhm.
platter. And for our parents' generation, there was a lot of validity to that. There was a lot of truth. Like getting a college degree really was the ticket to a better life. But
Yeah.
they didn't exactly take into consideration, like, you said, the advent of the internet, the advent of globalization, like so many different factors that were going to come into fruition. I think it's the same thing with art. Like if I was raising a child right now, like I'm not fully equipped to understand like how artificial intelligence is going to revolutionize the world. And I might be preparing them for a world that doesn't exist. And I think that that's kind of like we're just in uncharted territory. We don't know what's next. And that's where I think we have to go back to the basics and to the fundamental truths and to the fundamentals of everything. And for me personally, that is the Bible. The Bible is as relevant today when I read it as it was when it was written thousands of years ago. Like there is so much in the Bible when you read through Proverbs that is eternally true. And that's what I always tell people, like when it comes to finances, like you were talking about being demoralized, like I feel demoralized so much, like thinking about like opening up my Roth IRA, like we were talking about, and like and just different things like that. I'm like, is this even going to exist? Like, are they just going to take this for me and like redistribute it, and then we're going to have like a digital currency? But to me personally, I think that like the like God's rules are always going to apply, so you just stick to what you know to be true. And I know God's word to be true. So I just stick to that. I just stick to no matter what happens, if I'm following what Jesus said, Christ is king, if I am following what Jesus laid out and what the Bible laid out, then it doesn't matter what happens in this world, in my material world, I'm going to be okay. Like that's the way I feel about it.
Here's my one gripe, and I always bring this up to my mom. This is concerning the Bible. In the Old Testament, God could not shut up. God spoke directly and clearly and gave like specific instructions vocally to everybody. Like think about it. Like Noah got like direct instructions from God. Like the ark should be, these exact dimensions, and you can only bring two velociraptors and two bunny rabbits and two cats. Like everything was spoken directly to him, and that's how he knew exactly what to do. And it's like, God, how about, can you just like speak directly to me? Like this whole game of like, oh well, you just have to sit and listen, and you're gonna suddenly know that God's gonna speak to you through like the mailman. It's like, I'm a direct guy. I need you to tell me. I need you to tell me. I need the arc dimensions. Can you give me the arc dimensions? Can you tell me to sacrifice my son? I'll cut him right in half. Like just tell me, please. Like this whole game where God just decided, like, you know what? I've said everything. Now it's just going to be all this esoteric. Well, listen to the wind and the leaf. And do you have
I think
anything to make me
Yes,
feel,
I do. I think that you need to read God's word. I think that you find that through reading God's word and he will reveal himself to you. And I think that goes back to our conversation about the
can you
internet. I
tell me
think
what to do though? Because I don't know what to do about anything.
mm,
God
I think
needs to
I'll
tell
help. I
me
think
what
I'll
to
start
do.
helping. I think I'll help. And I think that you also need to, I think we all do. I think we all need to, we've had this conversation about like everything in our culture and all of the messaging we receive, especially like you were talking about influencers. All of the influencers are just telling us, look, you just need this, you need this thing, you need that, you need this. And then have self-actualization because you bought this subscription to this gift box. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is just an ad telling us that if we get the next thing, we're going to finally feel the way we want to feel. We're going to get that result. I don't think we're really ever going to get there. I think that that's not exactly the way we're supposed to live, but I do feel like we are so distracted and we are the messaging is that if we continue consuming, the consumption is going to give us the feeling that the void within our souls. Like we're not going to fill a God-sized void with trinkets from China. You know what I'm saying? Like that's never going to you could get all the Botox and all of the facelifts you want. Like that's not going to fill something that God has put in us, and that's to have a relationship with him. You understand what I'm saying? But like I think that the distraction we have going on is also kind of the reason why, like you said, that a lot of people find a difficulty connecting with God. It's because I
Well,
mean, I know for
it's like I'm a
myself. Yeah.
believer. I'm a
Yes.
believer, but God's never said a word to me. Not once. Like ever. Yet, you read the Old Testament, everybody got these direct instruct. Why did he stop talking? Was there a decision? It's like, well, these people don't actually need to hear from me. It was these people. Like anyway, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day,
Well,
it doesn't even really
I think
matter.
God stopped directly talking to them because he not only he didn't even talk,
Saw how stupid they were.
he directly sent his son. He was like, I have to I done with the talking because they're not listening. I have to show up and manifest as a human and come down to these
Well, he's
people
got to come
because
back
they're
right
never
now.
going to get it.
He's got to come
He's
back
got to come
right this
back.
second. Because can he cancel? Can Jesus cancel work? Will work
Yes,
be
he could.
canceled
He
if
could.
Christ
Well, I
comes?
always think to myself, like, if Jesus showed up tomorrow, like, if he showed up in Manhattan, like, I feel like so many people would just be like still so glued to their phones, like, they wouldn't even realize like what was going on because they would just be so.
They should be eviscerated into dust then. In my opinion, because I'm ready. I'm like, where are we gonna go from here? Really, this society, this country. Trump's getting inaugurated tomorrow. What is? Well, let me ask you
Yeah,
this. Let me ask you this. I'm trying to like steer things into like a positive direction here.
I know.
What's
Me too. I am. We're trying. This is a positive show. Okay. We are positive P with a capital P. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Although you
What
might feel like slitting your wrist after listening. Okay.
it's mainly my
That's
fault.
probably, am I allowed to
Um,
say that on YouTube? Probably not. Okay.
well, probably we don't mean
It's
that.
a
We mean that
joke. Yeah,
metaphorically.
metaphorically. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, not physically, metaphorically.
Never,
What
never physically. Yeah.
do you have like an actual like a viable positive hope for the coming next 4 years? Like something viable that you can conceivably see happening that's positive for the betterment of the country, humanity, etc., and so forth.
I I do have to say, like, I'm very grateful that my hope is not in Donald John Trump. Like, I'm not one of these people that is like super gung ho.
Hmm.
I mean, like, we have discussed ad nauseum during the election season. I did vote for Trump. I'm a third time Trump voter, so I'm highly responsible for anything that goes wrong.
And
Um,
I don't even mean him, by the way. I'm just talking about like
like in
in
general, just the country in
just
general.
just in general, not even pertaining to what the administration may or may not do.
Just in general. Well, I do feel hopeful and optimistic because I feel like I have been cultivating uh just a focus off of things related to what's going on in Washington and like what's going on really on social media in general. Like my word of the year. So we are going to spin a little spin of up positivity here. I'm going to sound a little bit like a self-help guru. But my word of the year has been focus. I was sharing this with my little brother who's in the Navy, and we have we have a little chit chat sometimes. He complains to me, and I'm like, John, you're living. I didn't mean to say his name, but I always am trying to tell him like you're living a great life, like you're living in a beautiful part of the country, but like he continues to just see the half glass half empty. But my word of the
Hmm.
year is focus. I'm just really trying to focus on the things that I want to accomplish, not even just accomplish, but like the life that I want to create, like I had, like I said, I'm coming up on 35 this year, and I had an epiphany of sorts in the last year that I wanted to create a life that looks good and meaningful even when I'm old. Because I think a lot of us just like we live for being young and we think we're going to be young forever. And I hope to be able to grow old. But I realize that like you need to create an existence that doesn't isn't exactly something that you can do only when you're young, like only looks good when you're young. Like you need to be giving of yourself. You need to be creating a community. You need to be there for others. You need to develop relationships. You need to find things that are fulfilling and meaningful and align with your values, right? And like,
So
so
like drugs
yes, like
is what
fentanyl.
you're getting at.
No, but I mean, like, you get what I'm saying because I and like I said, I feel like for me, what I'm hopeful about is, like I said, a focus. And also one of the things I'm working on this year is kind of challenging the limiting beliefs that I have about myself, like things that I know I always tell you this. You're always telling me that you can't cook. And I'm always telling you, well, you're never going to be able to cook if you tell yourself you can't cook. And there are things in my life that I tell myself that I am not capable. I tell myself I'm lazy all the time. That is like just such an ingrained belief that I have about myself that I think if most people met me, they would, if you spent time with me, you would not think I was lazy. But I I consider myself lazy. I'm very hard on myself about that. And like I said, just challenging some of the things that I told myself like I'm never going to be able to do, I'm not capable of, and just focusing on that. Like focusing on not telling myself I can't do it, but telling myself like no, you can do that. You can prove yourself wrong. You can be more than you. You can push yourself to challenge it. And sometimes we have to realize like some of those beliefs we have of ourselves came from people telling us those things, telling us that, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, and I've talked before about like I was a transplant patient. I feel like my entire life has been like I was never going to not do things because I had a transplant. Like I was always going to be like I will do things just like in spite of like it doesn't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I've met people that are my age that were pediatric transplant patients that had that limiting beliefs instilled in them. Like, oh, you can't do that because you had a transplant. You're sick. You're a sick kid. And now they're adults that like don't live on their own, never went back to college because they got sick. And I'm like, oh hell no. Like I'm coming up on 5 years next week on my second transplants. And I'm like, yeah, no, like I gotta make this worth it. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what I am optimistic about. I'm focused on what I want to see in my life. And even this past weekend, I was invited to go do something at church, and like I really didn't want to go because my husband couldn't go. And I just like didn't, we had to like read a chapter of a book, and I was just like, oh, I can hardly even keep up with reading the Bible. I don't want to do this. But it was Friday night. I had to be there Saturday morning. And I thought to myself, I just kept hearing people talk about community. And I'm like, well, if I want community, and I want to see people have community, like I have to be that. I have to be that. And like, so yes, I can do this. Like I'm not, I don't have to be lazy. I don't have to like, you get what I'm
Would you like
saying?
to see my community? Would you like I should take you on a drive around my neighborhood to show you what my community looks like. then
Well,
then
hold on.
then we'll see what you think about
I live
community.
in the coal region, so I don't even want to hear it. Okay. Like, but that doesn't have to mean, but like to me, it's like just because like where maybe you're like next to maybe in the little community you live in, but that doesn't mean that you can't go to church and
Ah,
create and hey, as we're saying that, that actually kind of like inspires me that to tell people like that should be one of your focuses. Like you might not be able to influence what's going on in the White House like Elon Musk does. He's got in charge of that. Okay. So we are not going
right.
to influence the mega death. Wait, what's that stupid game he plays? The Doom? He plays
Oh
Doom all the
no,
time. What's he
no. He
play?
plays Diablo 2 is what he
Diablo 2.
plays.
Like
Yeah.
unless you are really good at Diablo 2, I don't think that you're going to be influencing what happens in the White House. But you can, like I said, get clued in with a church community. You can get clued in with some kind of community, like somewhere in your local area or even just your family. Like, but it says there's so much research out there that says the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships, you know? And I know people that are extremely wealthy, extremely successful, who in their interpersonal family and friends relationships, their life is horrible. And so they live basically a life of misery despite everything being great for them because their relationships are so poor. So I think that that's kind of, I don't know, that's something I'm optimistic about. And I think people could be optimistic about. It's like fostering these relationships in this community. And like, hey, if like you're worried that something bad is going to happen in the next couple of years, you're going to have to rely on the people that think like, maybe not think like you, but like are in your immediate area and are of the same beliefs as you. So I think that like one of the most important things we can be doing right now is getting together with like-minded people and creating trust and relationships with those people because you do not want to be alone if things get bad. Colin's like, shoot.
Well, I know I'm never going to do any of those things because there's no 12 p.m. mass. That's the whole thing. It's like the whole like church thing. Okay, I didn't work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday to be in a hard pew at 10 a.m. on a Sunday, so that ain't gonna happen. Like seriously, that's the early. There's two English masses at my local church. There's an 8 a.m. and a 10 a.m. I'm never going to be at any of them at any point. I'm sorry. And if maybe if there's no work, maybe we can try and squeeze that in. But there's a Spanish mass at 12 p.m. I'm thinking like maybe just go to the Spanish
Just go.
mass because
You
I
should just
can't.
go. You should.
I'm not getting up at 8 a.m. on a Sunday. All
I was
right.
just at church this morning and we have like a Spanish service. And one of the guys, God bless him, this amazing guy from New York City, he's this great accent. He was talking about how like he doesn't know the language, but sometimes he goes to the Spanish service and he loves it. Like he just was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
excited. He's like,
That's the only
it's
mass
so
I can make it to.
dynamic. That's just the mass you should go to. Maybe you'll learn Spanish. You'll pick up Spanish. So
Yeah.
like there you
Maybe. Well,
go.
listen. Let's end on
Go,
a
go.
somewhat positive note there, I
Colin's
guess.
going to the Spanish service.
Yeah. Like I said, it's at 12 p.m. I think that's a great. Why aren't all the masses at 12 p.m.? Do people like waking up early? Like these early bird. We need to get rid of the early birds in the world. Things should be 11 a.m. Everything should be required. Nothing can start earlier than 11 a.m. and things have to end at 3:30 p.m. I feel like those are like the meat, like your prime hours for like being present and being attentive, like from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. That's like the meaty part of the day. Anything before or after that, it's just no, nothing at all should be going on. That's how I would run the world if I was dictator. But in any case, yeah, we'll see what I don't really have anything to add about
Hopefully that message gets to Elon, our great savior. Elon will make everything
yeah.
only open 7 to 3:30.
Yeah, my hope is Elon's UBI. The digital I'm ready to accept the digital currency, the UBI, the end of the dollar,
The
it's like
Neuralink.
yeah, the Neuralink, you know what? It's just like bring it on because everything is just so exhausting. But listen, we'll be back next week on a more positive note. Hopeful. Well, Karen's always positive. It's like hit or miss with me.
We're
You
a
never
little
know.
giga. Well, sometimes I'm a little. I think like last week when we got on, I was a little negative. I needed you to talk me through. You were super hype last week, and it
I
was it was it
was
was weird. We were like, it was roles reversed
a
very
bizarro.
much.
It was
It
like a
was very
bizarro episode.
bizarre. Yes, it was very bizarre. Where like before we started recording, I was just like, I'm so exhausted. I hate everything. And Colin was like, okay.
How about I don't even remember that? Like I don't even like really
Oh
like have
yeah.
a memory of it.
You just blocked it out. You were just
Yeah, I
like, no,
plot.
Karen's always positive. But I needed you to kind of talk me down off the ledge in a role reversal. So for once, it was my better help session that you were my counselor. So I appreciate it. I
Maybe next
appreciate
week we'll be well we'll both be on the same page. We'll both be in a positive Sorry, I thought I heard a noise. Positive frame of mind. But anyway, somebody might be breaking into my house, so I guess we should wrap it up there.
Okay.
Please give us a like on YouTube, tell your friends, subscribe, and we'll see you here next week on another episode.